Hello, I'm Liza Holland, a member of the Nonpartisan League of Women Voters, and I will be serving as moderator today for this forum for candidates for the Fayette Circuit Court 7th Division. This forum will be available later by going to the League website at lwvlexington.com. And our candidates today are Ms. Diane Minnifield and Mr. Jeffrey Taylor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We are following the League of Women Voters policies and procedures for this forum, and in order to give the candidates a fair chance to be heard, we have randomly selected at random.org for the order of opening remarks and questions and a second time for closing remarks. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to introduce themselves, 60 seconds to respond to questions, and 60 seconds for closing remarks. These questions have been sourced from the public and also submitted by our sponsors. Without further ado, we will begin with our opening comments. Ms. Minnifield, you have 60 seconds to introduce yourself.
Thank you. First of all, thank you to the League of Women Voters for always being informative and educating of the public. I'm a strong believer that knowledge is power, and so I appreciate all that you all do. I'm Diane Minnifield, and I'm first humbled and honored to have won the primary, and I'm working really hard to move, through the finish line in the general. I currently prosecute in abused and neglected kids cases. It's a hard court, but I get up and I go back the next day because I really do believe I make a difference. And that has been my whole purpose and whole process of my legal career, is to make a difference, is to leave things better than I found them. I have been practicing and advocating in the community for over 35 years. I continue to work hard, and I would ask for your support and your vote. And, I think we can make Lexington better. And that's what my goal is.
Thank you so much. Mr. Taylor.
Hi, yes, I'm Jeff Taylor, Judge Jeff Taylor. I want to first thank, again, as Ms. Minnifield mentioned, the League of Women Voters, and Ms. Holland, you as the moderator. And I want to thank Ms. Minnifield for being here as well. I'm Judge Jeff Taylor. Just a little personal information about me. My wife is Sarah. I have 3 kids. I have a 1-year-old, Emma Kate. I have a 7-year-old, William, and a 9-year-old Henry, who I'm very blessed to have in my life. I'm also a high school basketball coach. Besides being a judge, I coach basketball at Trinity Christian Academy. I was a partner with Landrum and Shouts for 25 years, where I was a trial attorney all over the state. I tried more than 60 cases to jury at all levels, including the federal court level. Right now I'm the candidate with judicial experience in this case. And I love the job. It's the best job I've had. I hope to keep the seat. I would love your vote and your support. And thank you again for having us.
Thank you so much. Mr. Taylor, you'll go ahead and take this question first.
Okay.
As a judge, what do you consider to be your greatest strengths and what are your weaknesses?
Well, I think the greatest strength that I have is my ability to hear all types of cases and to be fair and reasonable and have a great temperament and demeanor to every litigant that comes into my courtroom. I've always encouraged the public in general to come to my courtroom to watch how I operate and to watch my fairness to litigants. But I think overall my temperament and demeanor and fairness and ability to apply the law, those are my strengths. My weaknesses, I'm still learning the criminal law aspect of this, of what I do. I almost over research and overanalyze things sometimes. And instead of just, making it a point, it's time, make a decision, and you've done all you can, instead of trying to go a little bit further. So that would be a weakness that I think, and I'm working on that. But what we do is serious business, and it deserves full concentration and all of our abilities to do the best we can.
Thank you so much. Ms. Minnifield.
Yes, thank you. Well, I believe my greatest strength as I seek to do what I do in the community and in my legal practice from the bench is my knowledge and my experience And like I say, I've been practicing law for over 35 years. I've practiced in almost every area of the law available. I also know that I'm fair. And my whole goal is to seek justice. And this concept that we call justice, that people have a right to it. You know, we all want to be safe streets, safe schools, safe communities, rights for our kids to be able to grow up and, you know, and achieve and do great things. That's all of our dreams. And that's what I think that I bring to the bench, you know, my passion and my compassion to do what's right.
Thank you so much. And you will take this next question first, which is a nice segue from your commentary there. In Lexington, violent crime is particularly of concern. It's perceived to be at a crisis level by many experts today. What, if any, do you perceive is the appropriate role for the judiciary in addressing this crisis?
Thank you. You know, I get this question a lot because you're right. Violent crimes is a hot topic in Lexington right now. And I will tell you that it's not just Lexington, it's the nation as a whole. I think we have a whole generation of people who have just gotten disenfranchised with the establishment. You know, they just don't, democracy's under assault, and they just don't accept it anymore. And unless we can convince a new generation of people, a new class of people to buy into the rules, the laws, and, you know, we're always going to have what they say, no justice, no peace. So if we have no justice, we will have no peace. And so my goal is to give them that look, that they can at least see somebody that represents them, you know, that will treat them fairly, hear them out, and apply the law evenly.
Thank you so much, Mr. Taylor.
Great question. Obviously, it's trying times right now. Let me just tell you, as a judge on the bench, what I think the role is and what I've been doing. Violent crime, I consider those as gun crimes, rape, sodomy, domestic violence, abuse of the elderly, wanton endangerment type crimes. I look at each case, and on the violent crimes, I lean toward jail time. On the violent offenders, that's one thing that I'm doing. The other thing I'm doing is I'm increasing bonds for violent offenders. We're making bonds higher so that, you know, the bonds aren't low to where they can just bond out and maybe reoffend. So those are two things that I think are important for the judiciary: higher bonds that are appropriate for the violent crimes and putting violent criminals in jail. I'm not putting everybody in jail. I'm looking at the violent crimes and I'm looking at higher bonds.
Thank you so much. And you'll take this next question first.
Okay.
Please describe your administrative experience. What are your primary strengths as a supervisor and as an administrator?
Well, as a partner at Landrum and Schaus, that really prepared me from an administrative standpoint. I had 4 to 5 associates underneath who worked with me, and I had 4 to 5 paralegals, and I was constantly watching and managing them, not only their abilities to become trial lawyers, but how they worked with others in the office and how they build their practices. And I was consistently one that had more underneath my umbrella to watch, to manage. Also being a basketball coach, you've got young kids, and I'm trying to make these kids accountable and to work hard. And so I think my experience as being a trial lawyer and a partner have helped with me being a basketball coach, and likewise being a basketball coach has helped me be a judge in managing folks.
Thank you so much. Ms. Minnifield.
Yes, thank you. Well, I've been practicing law for over 35 years. And, in that in that arena, I have got young associates, young new coming lawyers coming to me, asking me questions. I have administrative staff, secretaries and things like that. I've always never felt like I've asked anybody to do anything I wouldn't do, because I know our greaterness is in the good, the way we work together. And so we can be better together. And so I work from that perspective with those who answer questions for, who just may be practicing law for the first year. For my secretary, I'm always there to answer questions. And like like Judge Taylor says, when, his personal experience weave over into our professional lives. I'm a mom, so I will tell you, you have to learn to manage time and you have to learn to manage people. And so I do that well.
Thank you so much. Ms. Minnifield, you'll take this question first. What should the role of private judging companies like judicial arbitration and mediation services have in the judicial system?
Great question. I mean, we're moving toward more mediations, now than we had in the past. And I think that they will free up, the bench for handling things that can't be mediated, because not everything's going to be able to be, mediated or arbitrated. Some things are going to have to go before a full jury and a full, court. And so but I do think utilizing those sources and those opportunities will free up some of the court docket. They're all behind. And if they can get those cases, moved along a lot faster, then it helps the litigants, it helps the system, it helps the taxpayers. I'm a strong believer in mediation. I think if we all had some ability to have a say-so in our outcome when we're in a predicament, that we are more apt to accept the consequences of those, the decisions, than if it's just handed down and thrust upon us. So I was at the Mediation Center years ago, and I believe in it.
Thank you so much. Mr. Taylor.
Okay, you have mediations and you have arbitrations in civil cases. I will always enforce valid arbitration clauses that are clear, that are not unreasonable. So I will always enforce arbitration clauses. As far as mediations, in a civil case, most parties do mediate. I take the position that if you want to mediate a case, that's your decision. It costs money, but I think mediations are great. In the criminal side, you've got felony mediations. It's a relatively new thing, but for me on the criminal side with felony mediations, number one, I want it to be with a seasoned mediator or judge that has tried all kinds of cases. And number two, I want the Commonwealth and the defense attorney to agree, but also have the victim's family play a part in deciding if mediation is right, because ultimately the victims need to be able to make decisions, the families.
Thank you. You will go ahead and take this next question first.
Okay.
How do you deal with difficult people, including peers, lawyers, clients, or litigants?
Kill them with kindness. One of the strengths, and I've talked about this, is my demeanor and temperament. And I think everybody that comes into the courtroom where I'm on the bench knows that already, because I've practiced for so long in so many different counties. But there's no question there are some difficult issues. What I try to do is I never want to embarrass anyone. If I see a difficult issue or something happening, whether it's between two lawyers, I'll call them up to the bench, put on the private noise, and talk to them and just say, hey, listen, we can get along. Our jobs are tough enough. We don't need to be going at each other's throats. You're going to see each other again on different types of cases, not just this one. Let's do our best to try to get along. And I try to smooth that out because, as judges, we're going to be mediators too. And we need to be able to mediate those issues, but I do it privately. I don't ever publicly get after someone, but I think the private way to do it is the way to do it.
Thank you so much. Ms. Minnifield.
Ms. Holland, I apologize. Can you repeat that question for me?
I sure can. How do you deal with difficult people, including peers, lawyers, clients, or litigants?
Yes, thank you. I think civility is what we need to stress in the practice of law. The practice of law is hard. I mean, you've got people at their lowest points typically when they come before you, and emotions are high, and the stakes are high. And so you've got to have a courtroom that's got decorum, that people are treating people with respect. I treat everybody, my whole concept is to follow the golden rule raised by a grandmother. You treat people how you expect to be treated. And I expect people in my courtroom to act the same way. And, Fayette County's bar is a pretty civil bar that gets along with one another. We do what we need to do to advocate for our clients, but we also don't disrespect the court, and we don't disrespect each other, so sometimes we have to calm down our clients because, this is hard. And so I just will always include civility.
Thank you. And that's good news about our bar association. You'll go ahead and take this next question first. Do you believe the composition of juries adequately and fairly reflects our society at large? Why or why not? And if not, what can we do to change this?
Thank you. First of all, I believe in the jury system. I mean, that's what we got, and what we have is what we need to learn to make work the best it can work. And so in order to do that, juries have been selected over the years from many different pools. Started off with property owners, and they realized that property owners really left out a lot of the segment of the population who can't afford to own real estate. Then it went to driver's license. They thought everybody drove, so it was like, okay, let's add those who have driver's license. And so you got a bigger pool. And because, our goal is that we are entitled to be judged by our peers. That's what the jury system is supposed to do. And if our peers don't look like us that comes before the jury, then we've got problems. So I think trying to expand the base, as always, not trying to find reasons to be excluded when you get the little letter, because we need you to serve. We need everybody to do their part. So I just think we all need to understand and take that serious.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor.
Okay, obviously, one of the key things, to be a juror, you have to be 18 years of age. You have to be able to speak English pretty well. You have to live in the county where you're going to be a juror, and you cannot be a felon. Jurors are drawn in Frankfurt from a system which I play no role in, but I think that, for someone who's tried cases all over the state, I have a lot of faith in jurors. I think some lawyers underestimate how well jurors listen and how right they usually get it. As a judge, as far as the makeup of a jury, we have a case out there called Batson that deals with if someone excludes or attorney tries to exclude a juror based on race, they can talk about that case, and there's things we can do to make sure that that race is not a factor in picking a jury system. I believe in the jury system. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you so much. You'll take this next question first.
Okay, sure.
COVID has exacerbated or illuminated perhaps the mental health crisis that we are suffering. Can you tell us a little bit about how you feel that's affecting the court system and what you'd like to see done about it?
That's a great question. I think that we as a society underestimate the mental health problems in this country. I think we underestimated them before COVID. Since COVID, it has exponentially worsened. I see it in my courtroom all the time, and it's very sad. And COVID has played a huge role in that, and not only for adults but youthful offenders. And what I try to do is get them evaluations, get those folks evaluations by competent psychiatrists, psychologists, get them into mental health court, which we have in Lexington, and try to get them referred there so that they can get the help they need, because it has become alarming to me, the mental health issues, but we as judges can get them help with the right treatment in the right court system, mental health court.
Thank you. Ms. Minnifield.
Yes, thank you. Mental health is not only been exacerbated by TV, it's been exacerbated by just life. COVID, there's been so many things that have just highlighting, that mental health is such a big issue in our community. I'm so excited that we do have a mental health court, here in Fayette County. Mental health courts, it's intended to make the person do certain things, getting certain treatments, and hopefully not reoffend. Because if we get behind the act, get behind the thing that they've done and get to the why, then maybe we can stop some of that recidivism. We can treat the disease, and maybe we can stop some of the act that they do. And I think that that's so necessary, but it takes money. It takes funding, it takes beds, it takes professionals, so we've got to have the resources in order to deal with those. And I think that Lexington is working hard at it. And I hope to be a part of that work.
Thank you so much. You'll take this next question first. What, in your opinion, have been the most effective methods for improving court procedures and efficiency? And what other methods would you suggest?
Well, I think that the most recent improvement in our court system, I would have to say electronic filing. And I'm a dinosaur, so I will tell you that it has been hard on me to try to, get in the computer age, but computers make things so much more faster. I started off practicing when we typed our complaints and petitions on a regular IBM typewriter. So when you made a mistake, you had that correction tape. So it wasn't like you get to do now on the computer where you can delete and paste and move things over. It's just sped up everything to an exponential degree. So I think that if we get more technological, we try harder, us old dinosaurs, to embrace that as opposed to fight it. And, our office went paperless several years ago.
Thank you so much. Mr. Taylor.
I think one thing that's really helped free up a lot of the criminal civil dockets are the specialty courts that we have. We have mental health court, we have veterans court, we have drug court. We now have a pro se court that was started by a family court judge. All these courts are helping the civil and criminal division courts that I'm on. They're really helping unclog a lot of our dockets, because let's face it, COVID really put a big strain on our dockets. Also, I'm a big believer in Zoom and Teams, and people in my courtroom are from all over the state. I have no problem if instead of beating the roads, they come and they want to attend by Zoom or do by Teams, so they can do those things. But we're slowly getting our dockets back to being manageable, and all those things have helped.
Thank you. This will be the last question before we move on to closing remarks. And Mr.
Okay.
Taylor, you will take this first.
All right.
What is your vision for the future of our judicial system? What changes would you advocate for, and why?
Well, I think we touched on this earlier. Right now, we've got a great bench. I think that we need to do more to support our specialty courts. We need to do more to get the nonviolent offenders help and into those specialty courts. And, that's one key area that I think can really help the judicial system. The other thing is we need to do more to make sure that the unrepresented get represented. We need to have to make sure that those folks have lawyers and get representation. And of course, that takes funding, and I understand that. And where does funding come from? But we need to make sure that people are represented, and you don't have pro se litigants coming in there and getting ramrodded by the system. So those are areas I think we can improve on.
Thank you so much, Ms. Minnifield.
Yes, thank you. As I stated earlier, I believe that knowledge is power. I think the more we educate the public about the role of judges, how important the judges are, and that they're elected by the people, and they are accountable to the people, and they should follow the law. I believe we got to have more transparency, because I really believe if people see and have the ability to see what's happening, they are more apt to accept it. It's not something that they believe is done behind closed doors, hiding, And so if we have some transparency, we're going to build more trust. And if we build more trust and more faith in the system, we're going to have more people that I believe that has more respect for it. And I think right now we've lost some respect for our judiciary. We've lost respect for our laws. I do believe that our democracy is under attack. And we, as the citizens that are in the system, have got to let the people out of it realize how it works.
Thank you so very much. And thank you to both candidates for great, informative, and thoughtful responses to our questions today. We'll now move on to closing remarks, and courtesy of random.org, Mr. Taylor, you get to go first.
Okay, thank you again for this. And thanks, Ms. Minnifield, for being here. Thank you. Listen, I've got 3 young children. I love Lexington. The community here they're my boss. The people are my boss. And I want my kids to be able to grow up in a safe Lexington, for them to grow and thrive. And right now, violence is out of control. I'm doing my part to try to, as I indicated, put those violent criminals away. Also, I think my experience as a trial attorney for more than 25 years speaks for itself. I'm backed by more than 200 lawyers, trial lawyers, who have tried cases, and by mediators. I'm also endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police on my position on the importance of first responders, 911 callers, and the police, and my stance on crime. I would love to have your vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Minnifield.
Again, thank you to the League of Women Voters. I appreciate all you do to inform and educate. Now, if we can get so many more people to watch. But I'm Diane. I've always been Diane Minnifield. I've been, the one out there, boots on the ground. I've been working hard in Lexington, in my aspect of in everything that I've done. All my practice has been about making Lexington a better place. Having people feel like that they have a voice, that they are being heard, that justice works, and if I can instill into the community that justice is fair, justice works for you, regardless of how you look, what you have and what you don't have, that it's going to work. And so I want everybody in Lexington to understand that given the opportunity to sit on the bench, I'm going to cast a wider net and do more good than I've been able to do just in my little prosecution seat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thanks to both of you again for participating in this. This really helps the League achieve our mission of sending informed voters to the polls. If you're interested in League membership or would like to see any more of these forums, please visit us at lvwlexington.com. And if you want some additional information on candidates, you can see us at vote411.org. In Kentucky this time, we are able to vote a little bit early, should you choose to do so. Voting will be available the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday prior to Election Day on November 8th. In Lexington, that will be at our Lexington Senior Center at 195 Life Lane from 8:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon. So it gives you a good opportunity. Please make your plan to vote now. Don't let it slip by. November 8th is the day, and I thank you so much for joining us for this forum today.